Made sure I turned the sound on. Thank you. I would like to call this meeting to order on October the 12th. And would like to say that the municipality of Central Elgin would like to acknowledge that we gather on the land of the McKee Purchase, the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Attawandaron, which is the Neutrals, and the Mississauga Nation. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to declare a conflict. Fruit line, item CS4 42343 fruit line.
Thank you. In the closed session.
Session.
Thank you. Any other conflicts? Seeing none. Would you read the motion to adopt the minutes, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, the motion reads moved by Councillor Fair, seconded by Deputy Mayor Marks, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated Monday, September 27th, 2021 be adopted.
Would you call the vote, please? Yes.
Madam Mayor, can I just ask if Councillor Cook is in attendance? If she's not, I wouldn't have to call the vote.
That's correct. Is she, has anyone heard from her? She isn't on at this time, so I'll just. Mr. Barron, she's not there? No. Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Carried. We have a delegation today, which is, of course, a different one for us because Warden Tom Marks is our deputy mayor. So we're used to having Tom here, but we're welcoming Julie Gonyou as well as the CAO of Clerk of Elgin County. And they're going to bring us an update on what the county are doing.
We're both very happy to be here. Good evening, Central Elgin County. Thank you for inviting the County of Elgin to your meeting tonight to provide an update about county activities over the course of 2021.
Warden Tom Marks is our deputy mayor.
That are underway in Elgin. Cultivating a close working relationship with our local municipal partners is a top priority of County Council. I hope to engage in open two-way communication regarding your council's priorities. The County of Elgin already partners with the municipality of Central Elgin to provide seamless, efficient services to local residents. And we look forward to enhanced partnerships in the future. 2020, Council completed both a strategic plan for 2020-22, as well as a service delivery review. Both the goals and priorities contained in the strategic plan, as well as recommendations from the service delivery review, have guided Elgin's actions over the past year. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to be a challenge for all municipalities. However, we've all become accustomed to navigating rapidly changing circumstances together as a team, ensuring a consistent, coordinated response across the county. In spite of the pandemic, Elgin County's had an extremely productive year. We have invested significantly in our critical infrastructure. We've done a major review of our official plan, engaged with the public with increased frequency using new and diverse methods, and begun the process of a digital transformation with a focus on rural connectivity. I will now turn the presentation over to our Chief Administrative Officer, Julie Gonyou, who will discuss each of these details in more detail.
Just for your information, Julie had a really bad day yesterday. She got stung by many bees and ended up in a merge and have an anaphylactic shock. So we're happy to have her back, and she's looking much better now than she did even this morning. So
full and mess this morning, but I'm pleased to be alive. I'm pleased to be before your council. So thank you, your worship, and thank you to members of Central Elgin Council for having us here today to provide our annual update. This is an exciting time of the year for the warden and I each year as we tour all of our constituent municipal partners and provide these updates. So Whit, can you skip ahead to slide number 4? So Elgin County's programs and initiatives are driven by Council's 2020 to 2022 strategic plan, as well as the recommendations coming from the service delivery review and corresponding staff action plans. So just to recap, the three main priority areas of the council's strategic plan include serving Elgin. So we want to redesign how we respond to community needs in a creative and sustainable way. Growing Elgin, we want to be the place where people want to live, work, and play. And investing in Elgin, we want to endeavor to make responsible financial decisions. The service delivery review, which was completed in November of 2020, focused on three main areas: reviewing and improving the county's human and community services with a focus on long-term care, examining and improving the county's internal operations, and reviewing, improving, and potentially expanding upon some shared municipal services that we have with our partner municipalities and the city of St. Thomas. So in January 2021, council prioritized a number of the service delivery review recommendations for consideration this year. To highlight a few, one of them was a review of the county's road maintenance agreement that we have with our municipal partners. Consideration of a shared economic development service with the city of St. Thomas, and leveraging technology to resolve some of our remaining paper-based processes. So in terms of what's new and exciting, I would say, first and foremost, when we went around last year and talked to our respective municipal partners, we heard loud and clear that we were looking for enhanced communication. So we have endeavored to do so over the past year, communicate more extensively with our administrative partners. So local CIOs have been meeting on a weekly basis, as well made sure that we've communicated key council decisions with our municipal partners and other relevant information with our community stakeholders and residents in general. So I'll just capture a few highlights of what's been happening over the last year. This includes completed projects and projects that are in progress. So we did complete full structural, mechanical, and electrical rehabilitation of the King George Lift Bridge. We've removed the temporary bridge in Port Bruce, and we are installing it as we speak in Southport to replace the Meeks Bridge. We completed the Village of Rodney reconstruction in West Elgin. We're currently in the process of developing a transportation master plan, which we hope to have completed in the spring of 2022. And if you're interested, or if any members of the community are interested in engaging in that process, if you visited engageelgin.ca, there's an opportunity to provide feedback there. We hired a senior engineering design and construction technologist, bringing in engineering design in-house. And this is a service that we have already extended to some of our municipal partners and hope to be able to extend on a broader scale in the near future. The Terrace Lodge redevelopment project is on schedule and within budget, and it's scheduled for completion in 2023. We are partway through our 5-year review of Elgin's official plan, and we're scheduled to complete that in the winter of 2022. We hired a planning technician to support an improved customer experience through the land division committee process and to assist in day-to-day planning activities. We're working with the Township of Southwold to facilitate redevelopment of the former Ford assembly plant in Talbotville. And economic development planning and GIS is working with our local municipal partners to come up with a digitally mapped vacant land inventory, something that's been outstanding for a number of years and I think will be very useful for all of our partner municipalities. Economic development is participating in a Field to Forks campaign with CTV, and that's about to run. I saw the first clip today, so watch for that on CTV. In terms of community and culture, we have murals celebrating the history of transportation, and they'll be going up in select municipal buildings across Elgin County as part of a donation from the Bushel estate. And work has already begun, and we're expected to have all of those installed by spring of 2022. Terrace Lodge redevelopment fundraising campaign has raised a remarkable $113,000, and the campaign will run for 3 years. We have launched a dedicated engagement site, as I previously mentioned. We're using this platform to engage our residents and key stakeholders in two-way communication on a variety of issues and exciting projects. We've gathered public opinions through multiple surveys related to the official plan, the transportation master plan, accessibility, budget, and seniors recreation. We've partnered with our local municipal partners to organize and promote activities related to acknowledging the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And we're pleased to announce that the Warden's Golf Tournament raised $20,000 in support of youth. We hired a Director of Information Technology Services. So that's new for the county, and that's keep up with the times. And of course, Central Elgin as one of our partners in IT services, Jeff Brock, our new director. We're in the process of developing a digital transformation strategy for Elgin County. And the Connectivity Committee continues to work on solving Elgin's connectivity challenges. Of course, those challenges were heightened during the pandemic. So there is some urgency associated with coming up with a community-led solution there. We hired a digital services librarian to focus on increased use of digital programming and materials in our Elgin County libraries. And we are in the process of rolling out a human capital management software, which will integrate scheduling, payroll, and other human resources function to streamline some of our back of house processes. And we just launched last week our first ever county employee and council intranet, which will enhance the way we communicate with our staff. So partnerships, as I mentioned, we are reviewing the road maintenance agreements with our local municipal partners. We're in the process of exploring a shared human resources agreement with with interested local municipal partners. We're currently providing community emergency management services to 4 of our local municipal partners. And we have been recognized by the provincial government as a regional fire training college. Last year, we successfully completed 10 fire training courses, and we have about 40 slated for 2022. We continue to work closely with our partners to provide a consistent and coordinated approach to COVID-19. And the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, which was a joint initiative led by Elmer, St. Thomas, and the county, was completed July 1st of this year. And it identified 5 high-level priorities. And each of those have corresponding action tables, which are working on coming up with solutions to those community challenges. And worth noting that we will be hosting a housing and homelessness forum on November 10th, which will review a recent study conducted across Elgin County related to housing and homelessness. So that's an event that you won't want to miss. So at this time, I'll pass things back to the Warden to see if there are any local priorities.
Certainly ask for some questions, comments, but don't go too far, Julie, because I'll have you answer them. So, are there any questions or comments you'd like to make? Share your thoughts. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bill.
This is in regards to the bridge. It was sort of awkward. I know about a month and a half ago, I know the Elmer Express quoted as a $5.25 million project. And I've been trying to get an answer for the last couple of months, and it's gone as high as $8.7 million budget and then a $1 million savings. I'm just wondering what's the real budget and what was the real actual cost?
I can please do. Through you, your worship, to Councillor Fair. So the combined approved total budget for the King George Lake Bridge was $8.56 million. The total final project costs, inclusive of all construction, approvals, engineering fees, is anticipated to be $7.3 million. So the statement that the project will come in under budget holds true. And so far as once outstanding project invoices are paid, we anticipate a savings of $1.3 million.
Just one comment. I know when it was first discussed, I think later, once they got into it, they realized there were a lot more things that had to be done on the bridge to make it safe than what we had originally thought, the original engineer's estimate. And so that's one reason the whole project was budgeted to cost a lot more than what was originally thought. And it was just because there were more repairs that were required. Go ahead.
Your worship, if required, I'd be pleased to submit a full financial breakdown to council as a follow-up to Councillor Fair's question.
I'm sure the people of Port Stanley are thrilled that it's fixed and working again. I couldn't believe that there was a boat ran into it though, not long after it was opened again.
Further questions, comments? We actually met with Mayor Martin and Paul Shipway today, Julie and I, kind of looking at some, wish list priorities, et cetera, things like that. So, Mayor Martin and I shared ours, but would love to hear from any comments you guys have. Because they are valued, they are noticed. So.
Anyone have anything at all that you want to say? I guess not. They must be content with what the county are doing at the moment. And thank you very much. And I hope you can go home and rest, Julie. It's been a long day for you. Thank you very much. There's no correspondence. We have one action requiring action, one correspondence requiring action concerning the Belmont Santa Claus Parade. Would you read the motion, please, Diane?
Yes, Madam Mayor, the motion reads, moved by Councillor Cravitz, seconded by Councillor Fair, that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Central Elgin has no objections to a request from Lee Maurer, organizer of the Belmont Santa Claus Parade, seeking permission to hold the annual Belmont Santa Claus Parade on Sunday, December the 5th, 2021, beginning at 6 p.m. Subject to the following conditions: the organizers of the event providing liability insurance in the amount of $5 million, leaving the County of Elgin and the Municipality of Central Elgin as co-insured and held harmless. The final schedule and location of the event being approved by the Director of Infrastructure and Community Services, and approval being obtained from the County of Elgin regarding the temporary closure of Belmont Road for the parade. And further, that the CEO clerk be authorized to sign the banner erection application for the event.
Any questions? Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one comment. I just noticed a couple of things on the actual application. When I asked staff about the particular detail, they assured me that the correct individual has actually been addressed. So I just wanted the public to know that there was a name on there in error. So the current actually fire chief is well aware of the application. And so I'm comfortable.
Thank you. Would you, pardon me? Yes, I see that. And Councillor Cook, welcome. Go ahead. You're going to have to call the vote, please.
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And now under the 3 items for information, I just wanted to note under the Heritage Central Elgin minutes, I'll do it here rather than under new business. If you had read it, we have erected 4 signs, 3 of which are for towns, the history of towns that no longer exist in Central Elgin. And 1 is for Yarmouth Center, where there's no sign saying it is Yarmouth Center anymore. But it shows the old hotel and the things that it was a much larger settlement. So on the 23rd of October, we will be inviting staff and council to attend the dedication of those 4 signs, what we're calling the ghost town signs. And it's going to be at the Jamestown sign, which is on Jamestown line, but you will get an official invitation. and with a map. And at that point, we're going to have pictures of the wordings of all the signs and a map so that people can go around and see them if they wish. We're planning it for the 23rd of October, hoping that maybe some families might like to do an activity on Halloween to take their children around to the ghost towns and learn what towns used to exist in Central Elgin that don't exist anymore. And so that's what it's at 2:00 in the afternoon on the 23rd at the Jamestown sign, which is right by the Jamestown Bridge. If you know where Jamestown Line is, it's just this side of the Jamestown Bridge. Does anyone have any comments or questions on any of the other? If not, would you read the motion, please, Diane?
Madam Mayor, the motion reads, moved by Councillor Rowe, second by Councillor Fair, the correspondence items number 1 through number 3 inclusive be received for information and file.
Would you call the vote, please?
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
yes,
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Resolution carries.
Thank you. And now we move to the Chief Administrative Officer's report. And I know that we have found out some better information or some other information. So I'm going to ask Mr. Shipway to share the new information.
Certainly. Through you, Madam Mayor, the county provided additional information after the original report was published. So in year one, the drop bike funding was $10,000 Southwest Public Health, $15,000 Southwestern Ontario Tourism Corporation, $5,750 from Elgin County, and $5,750 from Central Elgin. In year two, there was no funding from Public Health or Ontario Tourism Corporation, and it was $18,250 from both Elgin County and Central Elgin. So just to clarify that, after the county provided the initial information and it was questioned, they dug deeper and found this additional information.
Just so that I was very concerned with this because I know when we first approved it, it was around 5,000 for the first year. And then we knew it was going to be more the second year if the funding didn't come through. But it was supposed to be a test project that the county took on. And they were going to test it in Central Elgin. They asked us to pay a certain portion of it because they were testing it in Central Elgin with the idea they might expand it into, other communities in the county. But it hasn't come to county council at all. So, I mean, as Mr. Shipway's report indicates, if we want to continue it, we'll be paying the full shot. So, comments. Councillor Wynn and then Deputy Mayor Marks.
It just seems an awful expense for the amount of use that it's getting. I was actually surprised to see the numbers because I walk Port Stanley every day, and this summer I saw 2 people using those bikes. So they're obviously making sure I'm not around when they get on them. For 332 to have used them, but like that just seems like an awful expense to me for it. I feel money could be put to better use in other places. So
And I'm assuming June is 0 because it probably didn't open until mid-July.
Yeah.
When the level 3 came in.
well, and unfortunately, COVID being a part of both of those years, I think it kind of skews the numbers as well too. So we don't really have a true reflection of what a year would look like. So, but yeah, I'm not in favor of it myself.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
I believe somewhere in the report, it says even if they did get the funding, every cent of revenue goes to drop bike. So like, I was never a fan of this. Why would we be in something that we're never ever going to make any money at? I would be very much in favor of making a motion that we take no further action. It's finished, done.
Madam Mayor, I'd second that.
Just a minute. Go ahead, Mr. Shipway.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that's absolutely fine. I think just for clarity, we need to be directed to not to advise we're not going to renew the agreement. It auto renews if we don't tell them by the end of the month. So
It's down twice.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So we have a mover in Deputy Mayor Marks and Councillor Cook seconded it. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? If not, would you call the vote then, Diane, please?
I'll read the motion first, Madam Mayor.
Sorry.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Marks, seconded by Councillor Cook, that report CO 5021 Reed Elgin Certified Share Program. Council direct staff to not proceed with renewal of the program.
Call the vote, please.
Colleen,
I'm sorry, Councillor.
Or yes, Mayor, I should ask the question earlier, but have any new potential sponsors actually been approached about this? I mean, are there those types of opportunities that nobody is sort of looking into so that we don't have to pay the full price?
I am guessing that no one has looked because it was originally a county program. Alan Smith is the one who initiated it. Then Alan left and economic development tourism has been, you know, they're just starting to ramp up again. So I'm guessing that nothing has been done whatsoever, looking for other sponsors or anything else. That would just be my understanding. Mr. Shipway?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the county has been monitoring the agreement and the statistics that come back from Drop Bike, and Southwestern Public Health and Ontario Tourism have indicated they can't offer financial support. And subjectively, just looking at the program metrics, it's kind of been identified this may be a program that a private sector entity could pursue, something to that effect. But in regards to public sector sponsorship and continuing to operate the program like it has been historically, that has not been explored.
Yeah, we're a small enough municipality that does make it difficult. I know large cities in Europe, I very much appreciate the fact you can rent a bike anywhere, you can leave it somewhere else, and it's a great way to tour the cities. But the number of users in Port Stanley make it, as I say, it was a test project for 2 years. And are you okay? Okay, would you call the vote now then, please?
Yep. Councillor Rowe?
No.
Councillor Kravitz?
The yes is to not renew it. Yes.
The motion says council direct staff to not proceed with the renewal of the program.
Yes.
Councillor Rowe is a yes. Is a
No.
nay. Councillor Kravitz is a yay. Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Resolution carries.
Okay, we're going now to the Director of Fire Services, Fire Chief, for the monthly alarm activity report. Does anyone have any questions? Ray's always here and nobody ever asks many questions. He gets off lucky every time, but he has to sit through it all. So, if no questions, would you read the motion, please?
Madam Mayor, moved by Deputy Mayor Marks, seconded by Councillor Rowe, that report FS 1221, monthly alarm activities report for September of 2021 be received for information.
Call the vote, please.
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Kravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Resolution carries.
Thank you. And now the Director of Asset Management and Development Services. The first one is on the noise exemption for the St. Thomas Gun Club. Does anyone have any questions? This is it's a repeat thing that we get every year, twice a year. Seeing no questions, would you read the motion, please?
Certainly, the motion reads, moved by Councillor Kravitz, seconded by Deputy Mayor Marks, that report AMGS 3621 Read noise exemption, St. Thomas Gun Club be received as information, and that council grant an exemption to bylaw 212 being a bylaw to control noise in the municipality of Central Elgin as amended to allow the St. Thomas Gun Club to hold their winter trap shooting event commencing at 9 a.m. on January the 9th of 2022 and March 13th of 2022.
Thank you. Would you call the vote?
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Kravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin?
Yes.
The resolution carries.
Thank you. And now we're coming to the second report, which is the monthly building and bylaw report. Does anyone have any questions or comments there? If not, would you read the report or the motion, please?
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Fair, seconded by Councillor Rowe, that report AMDS 3721, September monthly building and bylaw report be received for information.
Call the vote, please.
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Kravitz,
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
yes,
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And now the report on the Port Stanley Fire Station door mural. You've read the report that staff have had, and I want to just say that the Municipal Heritage Committee discussed this over a year ago when we knew that we were going to be selling that fire hall. And I know Heritage Port Stanley discussed whether they should try to be saving the doors or what. And I know Mr. Perrin, we worked with him and came up with the idea of taking a photo and making a nice mural instead. And Heritage Port were fine with that, and Heritage Central Elgin thought that was a good idea. But I will say both groups wanted it on down near the tourist center. It didn't have to be on the building, but they wanted it near the tourist booth with a historic sign that would explain what they were and what the mural was all about. Because they, just so that you're aware that that's what they had said, that they thought, even though it's much larger on the fire hall, they didn't think most people would, you know, it might show up as you drive up out of the village, but they didn't think it would be, people would understand what it was or why it was there. So that was their thinking on that. And I one question I would have for Mr. Perrin is, because the size is half the size if it's down on the tourist booth, will it be less costly? Is there a big difference or not much difference in size?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it would be less expensive, down like a smaller sign. It would be more economical than the larger sign on the side of the fire hall.
Okay, I was just curious about that. So other comments or questions from the rest of you? It's strictly up to council to determine where it's going. Councillor Kravitz.
On the tourism building, the east-facing side, there's a set of steel double doors. Could it be made to accommodate on that area where it would be visible from the parking lot? There'd be an issue putting them on them doors. Are those doors used quite often? They're a steel door.
No, you could put it on those doors.
Yeah, because I'd like to suggest possibly putting them down there so that they are visible. It is slightly visible as you're coming over the left bridge. You can see those doors. So there is something you could see there, and then pulling into the parking lot, you'd actually be able to walk up to the mural.
Yeah, and I believe, sorry, go ahead.
And I'd rather not have a mural put on the new fire hall at this point. I don't think we need the graffiti on the new fire hall as it stands. I think it's a beautiful building that we're putting up there. And I think it would muddy the look of the fire hall.
The other thought would be, I believe Heritage Central Elgin or Heritage Port, we're going to put a sign beside it like we do our heritage signs around that would explain what it was and why, you know, what the mural was of and why it was painted, et cetera. Mr. Perrin?
Any description, could we put that integral to the mural rather than have more signs and more posts all around for maintenance?
Certainly. Yep. Deputy Mayor Marks.
I don't know, from visibility, sure it's a brand new station, but we've all looked at that mural many times, and I like it preserved, but to me, you come out of the village, it's gonna be right there, and I think it's a great spot personally, but I don't think there's any sleepover, no matter where we put it, but to me, putting it down the, I'm not so sure you're gonna get traffic, but there's so many other distractions. If you're coming up the hill, it's on the south wall and it's gonna be lit. Everyone's gonna see it. I think it's gonna look great.
Councillor Fair?
It also does link the past of the fire department with the current. It's sort of a nice link.
We've all seen it many times. I would say that tourists haven't always seen it many times, but Councillor Rowe, you should speak.
I was just going to say, my initial reaction was, yes, the new fire hall made the most sense. But after sort of hearing arguments towards the tourist center. I am actually now leaning more towards the tourist center, even though it's a smaller picture, you can sort of get up close and personal with it, I guess. And there is something to be said with just the way a lot of the other murals are going on around different places. I remember Councillor Wynn saying, you know, I wish the one in Belmont on the library was sort of closer to the sidewalk so people could see it. So just having that traffic and that interaction, I think, does make a difference. So I would make a motion to put it on the tourist building.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Just to clarify there. Councillor Kravitz, you said on the east side?
On the east side facing the harbor, there's 2 steel doors on that side.
East side, so you're
They're
saying.
quite large doors too,
Water?
closest to the water.
Then the only people seeing it is people going to be walking by.
You can see it slightly from the bridge as well.
It should be
Well, that's a dangerous corner where the fire hall is.
distraction.
But anyone parking in the tourist area, et cetera, would see it, plus everyone walking the walkway.
I'd like to say, yeah, as well as anybody walking over the lift bridge, it's visible there and it's something, it may attract people to the visitor center.
We could, the recommendation that Colleen made or the motion was to just put it on the visitor center. We could ask staff to have a good look and see if the south wall or the east doors were the best location. Depending on how it would fit, et cetera. Because it's what, 5 by 10 is what you were suggesting, Mr. Perrin, for the tourist booth area.
It would be that large if it was on the south wall. It would not be that large if it was on the double doors.
Yeah.
The double doors are not 10 feet wide.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Then you're diminishing it. But still, you come up that hill, you got a great big. Everyone's going to come out sooner or later.
The only thing I'll say is that Heritage Port did pay for the original mural and they've paid to have it refurbished at times as well. So I don't like to just ignore Heritage Port's request. They were originally thinking of freestanding sign, but I like the idea of on the tourist booth. And I'm fine with the south wall.
If it's on the fire hall, I mean, as was mentioned, the nice part of it is having interaction with it. So with it being on the fire hall, like we don't want to encourage people to just drive into the new fire department. And I get like that's to be seen right away as you're whipping by. That's great. It would be a good spot, but this is something that, again, I agree. It's something that people should be able to go up to. If a sign's going to be erected with the history on it, then that sign's going to be useless because nobody's going to get to read it at the fire hall. So I agree that the tourist center seems to be the most logical space for it, where the community gets to actually interact with it. And it's not something you're breezing by very quickly as you're heading out of town or into town, whichever way.
We do have a motion from Councillor Rowe to put it on the tourist center. We haven't said where, but on the tourist center. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
I'd like to second that.
Thank you. Councillor Kravitz seconds the motion. Further discussion then. Deputy Mayor Marks?
Just one last thing. All the many times I've been in court, drove by, I've never seen anyone looking up close, reading it. Do we actually think we're going to start have a crowd, people going to take a look at it?
I get calls frequently about the shadow, the one shadowed person. Does that mean something? Is it, you know, I mean, there are people who question that. I don't know.
Just a comment to that, I find the hydro, the electricity boxes that are covered with murals, they're noticed quite often. People do visualize, like stand and read those. So I think, yeah, people would look at it more, Stanley.
Last thing.
Councillor Wynn?
And I think people are going to be more comfortable walking up to a tour center. Like I personally am not going to stand in front of the fire doors to look at something because, you know, you just don't want to be the one in the way when the fire trucks want to leave. So I think this is an area where it brings people to it. fire halls, again, it relates beautifully to it. But it's just gonna be something people are gonna not think twice about as they head out of town. Whereas now it's somewhere in prominence where you can actually get to it and read about it and why it's there.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Does anyone else have anything they wish to say? If not, I will ask Diane to call the vote, please. I'm sorry, yes, please.
Moved by Councillor Rowe, seconded by Councillor Cravitz, that report AMDS 3821, report Stanley Fire Station door mural be received as information, and that council approve the reproduction of the existing mural located on the overhead doors of the Port Stanley Fire Station and mounting the mural on the tourism building.
Mr. Perrin?
So, Madam Mayor, just so staff's clear, we will report back with a couple of options and try to mark it up. Staff do not want to take responsibility for making the wrong decision. So,
Thank you. I think that's a wise idea. And then you could tell us the size it would be if it's on the steel doors or, and we could also, if any of us are down that way, you can have a look and see whether you prefer the south end of the building or the steel doors on the east side. Would you call the vote? I'm sorry, Mr. Shipway, did you want to speak? No, you were motioning that Mr. Perrin was. Would you call the vote, please?
Councillor Rowe,
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz,
Yes.
Councillor Cook,
Yes.
Councillor Fair,
Yes.
Councillor Wynn,
Yes,
Deputy Mayor Marks,
No.
Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. Now we're at bylaws. Does anyone have any concern with any of the bylaws? Yes, Councillor Wynn.
I would like to take bylaw 2642 and 2643 separately, please.
Okay, so the two first bylaws will be taken separately. Do you want to take them together or is this two separate bylaws?
Together, the second one's not, it's just because it relates.
It relates to the first one, yes. Okay. Councillor Rowe?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And bylaw 2648, I have to admit, I am still confused about this particular zoning. And I looked through the document several times. I honestly can't tell if the school area is zoned one way or two ways. So if someone could clarify that for me to start, I would appreciate it.
Mr. Perrin?
it's the same bylaw that was presented by Mr. McClure at a previous meeting of council. This is at the public meeting. So it's dual zoning for the school block, residential, as well as institutional.
Councillor Rowe?
So I would like to pull out 2648 as well, because what I heard at that public meeting was regardless of whether it has dual zoning or one zoning, they would still have to come back to do the exact same exercise to make it into a residential zone. So unless I'm not hearing that correctly.
Oh, that is correct. They would have to come back either way, yes. Councillor Kravitz?
Just in regards to that, I received an email from the applicant that had no opposition to the dual zoning as it stood now.
Mhm.
I think they were in favor of it. I don't know if you received the same email.
No.
Yeah, I did. I received it.
I did too.
Yeah. Maybe I did. Maybe I did. It's just a personal choice.
Okay, yep, that's fine.
Only because I think that the school should go in there. So every effort needs to be made to make that happen, unfortunately. So that's how I'm looking at this particular application.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my feeling as well. I really want to make sure the school goes in, period.
Guess we'll have to discuss that.
Okay, so we're going to take 3, 4, 5, and 6, or bylaws 26, et cetera, those together. So would you like to read that motion? I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilson, you're busy trying to write. The two that we're going to take separately, or 3.
So the mover on the main motion is Deputy Mayor Marks and the seconder is Councillor Fair. So if for clarity, I have removed bylaw 2642, 2643, and 2648 from the main motion. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Marks, seconded by Councillor Fair, that bylaws 2644, 2645, 2646, and 2647 be read a first and a second time.
Call the vote, please.
Councillor Rowe,
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz.
Yes.
Councillor Cook,
yes,
Councillor Fair,
Yes.
Councillor Wynn,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
Yes.
And Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you.
Again, on the second motion, Madam Mayor, the mover is Councillor Rowe and the seconder is Councillor Fair. So I have removed 2642, 2643, and 2648. Okay, the motion reads, moved by Councillor Rowe, seconded by Councillor Fair, that bylaws 2644, 2645, 2646, 2647 be read a third time and finally passed.
Call the vote, please.
Councillor Rowe,
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz,
Yes.
Councillor Cook,
yes,
Councillor Fair,
Yes.
Councillor Wynn,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries. And we'll need a mover and a seconder on these other motions, Madam Mayor, to take the other bylaws.
yes. Counselor Wynn, you wish to move the first two to be taken together?
I'll move all three. I don't mind. I can do all three. Doesn't matter.
And a seconder, Bill, Counselor Fair, sorry. Are you seconding all three, Counselor Fair? Or just the first two?
I would be more comfortable with first two first and do the other one separate.
Yeah, we're going to do the other one separately. They are going to be done separately.
I am fine.
The first two, Counselor Wynn was acceptable to do those two together, but we will definitely do the other one separately. Total different issue.
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Wynn, seconded by Councillor Fair, that bylaws 2642 and 2643 be read a first and a second time.
Call the vote.
Can I,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I should have given you a chance to speak.
so with regards to the bylaw 2642, I guess in reading the bylaw, item number 3, appointment with the, if someone could explain to me or just confirm to me, I'm reading it as we've appointed an agent to recover directly from an insurer, and so nothing is going to our ratepayer. So if they have a fire, there's extraordinary circumstances, we need to recover those costs. An invoice is going to go directly to an insurer, but nothing's going to go to our ratepayer. So how do we know that they're not being left out with regards to this bylaw? That, because we should be recovering if we've incurred costs of $2,600, then that ratepayer owes us that $2,600. So we invoice them like we invoice our water users, and they either pay it or they take it to their insurance provider, and their insurance provider would pay whatever coverage was under their policy, but there could very well still be an amount left over because policies only cover a certain amount. They don't cover everything. This policy this clause that's being exposed right here only covers specific amounts, which was explained to us at the September meeting. So how am I to feel that that's actually going to happen when, from what I'm reading, our property owners, our ratepayers aren't even going to see the invoice?
Would like to speak to that? Mr. Shipway?
Through you, Madam Chair, I can speak to it generally, and if I don't answer it specifically, just please ask follow-up. So the establishing and regulating fire department bylaw establishes the fees or the structure by which recovery of costs can be executed. And then this agreement operationalizes the the previous direction of council to utilize Firemark for that service provision. And generally, what would happen would be the municipality would obtain that information, provide that to Firemark once we're in this agreement, and they would then take over the file. So our hands come off it, and they would find out what the coverages are after, first we would understand our expenses, give it to them, and they would contact their insurer to find out what coverage is available to cover the expenses. Then that invoice would go to the property owner's insurer, the only time anything would ever go to the property owner in the form of an invoice would be as if the insurance company that Firemark has contacted advises that they have forwarded the funds to the property owner, because sometimes the insurers won't pay directly, they'll send it to the property owner. And that's contemplated within the agreement under municipal obligations, is that the municipality has to ensure at all times we comply with the establishing and regulating bylaw, that we're not collecting directly from a taxpayer, except when the insurer has provided that money to the taxpayer to come to the municipality.
So then we're not actually recovering extraordinary circumstances. We're just recovering whatever money's in the policy. So if I have a fire and a bulldozer comes and it costs $2,600 or whatever the going rate is, but my policy only covers $1,000, your Firemark's going to take that $1,000 and we'll get 70% of it. Why aren't we getting the rest of it? So is that when, so when that happens, the 1,000 is paid, is an invoice then sent to the ratepayer saying for $1,600, then you now owe the $1,600 to cover that cost?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there's a couple components to that. Firstly, I would say that the municipality just calculates its expenses incurred. It's not like first they go see what the policy is and then come up with the expenses we've incurred. So at the time of it, it's sent over, these were our expenses. And then section 10 deals with unrecoverable costs. So if municipal expenses were beyond the policy, section 10 of the agreement contemplates that at that time, the agent is relieved, and it's up to the municipality to determine how to proceed with the remainder of the costs. And that's where we would revert back to the establishing and regulatory bylaw, which would not permit the recovering of those additional costs from the taxpayer.
And so our bylaw, I'm sorry, that was brought out by our previous fire chief to do exactly what's happening here, but do it ourselves. That bylaw was put in place to do exactly that, to recover those costs. So we're not going to execute that bylaw to collect that outstanding $1,600. We're just going to let it go, because then the other side of the problem I have is we've just gone through this huge exercise with water where nobody gets off not paying what you owe, regardless of what the circumstances are. But if you have a fire, we're not going to recover all those costs. So we're leaving that big, so that's going on everybody now, those costs, right? All the ratepayers are now paying for that shortfall, or like, I can't see beyond that. And that's where my problem is. Like, we're only going after this certain, but we're not concerned about the whole amount.
I'm getting two different messages, because when you said that our bylaw says we can't do that, that's the current bylaw that's in place. It was put in several years ago. That says we cannot personally recover from an individual. We can only recover from their insurance, what is covered. Is that what you're saying?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I guess first off, I can't speak to the intent of previous employees, all I can speak to is the bylaw council passed and the verbiage on it. So the current fire department establishing and regulatory bylaw establishes two provisions: recovery of costs and then recovery of extraordinary costs, where additional expenses occurred above and beyond. And in one of those instances, the above and beyond, the municipality can recover from the property owner, or as the bylaw would state, basically a taxpayer, for regular recovery of costs, for lack of a better term, that can only be collected from a non-taxpayer. So it's not that the establishing and regulatory bylaw does create the opportunity to collect expenses under those two circumstances. And then what we're doing, or what council is considering doing with Firemark, is to outsource the collection of those costs. Because historically, the municipality has not had a great recovery rate on these sort of expenses.
Councillor Wynn.
But again, I guess it's still my problem. I think this council has a bigger problem than that minute amount that's going to come from extraordinary expenses. It's that we're only interested in recovering whatever an insurance company is going to pay. We don't care about the rest of it. And I don't know, in my 7 years on council, I've kind of had it that we need to recover everything. And that was it. Like, how many times do I have to hear from people with water problems, right? That doesn't matter. That money has to be recovered. The municipality has to recoup its costs. So these costs, to me, from the way this is laid out, are going to continue, obviously, to not be recovered. And we're going to put the burden of those costs on all the ratepayers, as opposed to the ratepayer who had the incident. So
I'm still missing something, because I feel like you're saying we can't, that our bylaw says we can only recover what's in insurance for those extraordinary costs. No, I'm not sure.
I guess that's where I'm having the same problem.
Ultimately, this is council's decision to do whatever they'd like to do on it. It was presented as an option to collect a new revenue stream, because historically the municipality has not collected for fire-related costs from insurers. So if the municipality does not enter into this agreement or move forward with these two bylaws, it's just removing the access to that revenue stream. If the municipality does, it provides access to it. I think that's the simplest way to look at
In
it.
other words, we won't recover anything if we don't, for extraordinary costs. Is that what you're saying?
Not for extraordinary costs. Extraordinary costs, we have the ability to collect. And I should say, council can amend that policy to change in what circumstances and how and from whom they collect it. But right now, with the current establishing and regulatory bylaw, that is the confines of what the municipality is permitted to do.
Because basic fire coverage, we pay for, the taxpayers are already paying to have a fire department and firemen respond to their needs and their calls. I mean, that's part of the basic tax, correct?
Through Madam Mayor, that's for council to determine, but as of right now, yes, that's considered within the levy, offset by user fees within the budget.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor Wynn.
Then I would like to see this with more meat in it than how it's presented. I mean, first, I'd like to know that the invoice is going to the ratepayer. If I've had a fire and there's still costs to be recovered, I want that coming to me. That's my property. That's my expense. So I would like that to come to me. All my bills, my invoices come to me. They don't go to anybody else first. And then I am aware of everything. Like, I don't see why I should be charged for things that if there's no issue with it, I don't even see it, and I basically really don't even know much that it happened if nobody talked to me about it. So that's my first biggest problem with it, that if this is going to go forward, that we ensure that those invoices go directly to our ratepayers, and our ratepayers know any additional costs that they are paying over taxation. I don't think that's something, to me, it's almost hidden, and it shouldn't be. The ratepayer should be involved in this all the way along. And the other thing is that I think that whatever those costs are that we have to recover, like, it should be part of the bylaw too, that whatever those extraordinary circumstances are, and that should be covered in the bylaw as well, that it shouldn't be left so broad.
Mr. Shipway, is it possible to amend this to say that the person who's involved, the actual taxpayer, gets a copy of the bill that was sent to their insurance company, so at least they know what their insurance company is being billed?
So before contemplating the agreement with the service provider, the municipality would have to amend its establishing and regulatory bylaw, because the establishing and regulatory bylaw does not permit invoices to be issued to those persons who contribute monetarily to pay the cost of operation of the fire department.
Right.
So that's a municipal decision that you'd have to amend beforehand.
Okay. Councillor Fair.
I know it's been mentioned that this is a new revenue stream. It just appears to me that we're saying, oh, because it's an insurance company has to pay it, it doesn't matter. So we'll get whatever we can from an insurance company, whether they should really or shouldn't have to pay it, but we're creating a new revenue stream, and we're saying that's okay because we're just going to penalize insurance companies. And I just don't find that a desirable stream of revenue to do that.
Those costs are recoverable to us, period, correct? We just have not had the staff time or, ability to collect them.
A few, Madam Mayor, from 2017 to 2020, the municipality invoiced for approximately 153,000 and ended up writing off 49% of that.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Marks.
This bylaw is a result of a recommendation coming from the fire chief. Is it possible if we could summarize that recommendation again to refresh our minds why we're doing this? Like, I'm in favor of it.
Mr. Armorad, you're getting asked to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Councillor Marks. Again, going through this, we talked about extraordinary costs. And as Councillor Wynn had mentioned, extraordinary costs can amount to substantial amounts when you're calling in heavy equipment and such. I'm looking, when I've looked at this program, reviewed it, and as Mr. Shipway has stated, over the last number of years, the municipality has not been able to collect a number of outstanding items. When we review this, I see that insurance, on your insurance package, and I've used mine as example, I believe it's $2,500 now on mine. That's a recoverable amount. To me, that is a smaller amount that the insurance company may or may not be forthcoming in providing. So I look at this as those are some of those amounts that this agency could obtain for us. Those extraordinary amounts, we call in a hi-ho to tear down a building because it's endangering property or public safety. I look at that as being an extraordinary amount. And through the establishing and regulating bylaw, that is recoverable through that. As Mr. Shipway said, this was just an avenue to be able to incur some more financial aspects for the municipality. Thank you.
So it is recoverable, like we can bill for it, we just haven't been able to or recover it, even though we've billed for some.
So again, I'm unaware of how this municipality operated. My understanding is this municipality may or may not have. I know in the former municipality I came from, we did not, simply because of the time constraints that it would require in trying to obtain that. So we had just left it. This program was implemented in the municipality I did come from, and to some successes, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Wynn?
So I guess my other problem is that we collect far more taxes and water than what these costs would be. So why is it so difficult to recover those costs? Was it staffing? And if it was staffing, then why wasn't staff put into place for it? Like that's, we do billing on a monthly basis. So why is it we can't do this billing?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Shipway, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, under the Municipal Act, utilities are tied to a direct property, and the municipality has much more authority under the Municipal Act to collect and in different means to do that. When dealing with insurance companies or individual persons attempting to collect, there's a number of factors, the report, the correct contact at the insurance company, and ultimately the municipality just has not had a lot of historic success in collecting those amounts. And I think I just want to reiterate again, staff are not advocating for council to take any specific action here. Council numerous times has told us to tighten our belt and present revenue options to council for consideration. Staff are just presenting this revenue option for council consideration following council direction. I do not want anyone to think that staff are advocating for this. We're just presenting you with an option that a number of other municipalities are utilizing for your consideration. And the intricacies of making this agreement work with the current fire and establishing bylaw is where that nuance is held in this.
And this was discussed at a meeting and council voted to bring it back as a bylaw, correct? So that's why we have the bylaw tonight. Deputy Mayor Marks.
Memory serves me correct. That was the direction. We're going to try this for 1 year. Was that not correct? That's still in mind. Let's do it.
Any other, Councillor Wynn?
Direction in the bylaw that it's a 1-year pilot project? Or is that?
To you, Madam Mayor, the initial term is 1 year, and additionally, there's a 30-day termination clause at any time.
At any time, sorry, was that what you said?
Yes. Okay, anything else to discuss on these two? If not, would you call the vote, please, Diane?
Councillor Rowe?
Forget the motion, honestly.
To authorize these two bylaws.
Yes.
Councillor Kravitz?
Sorry, just before that, the second bylaw, there was no discussion on it.
No, it's just, yeah, we're voting both of them at the same time, yeah. Yeah, the second one is just tied to the first one. That's why I wanted them both together, but it's, yeah.
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
No.
Councillor Wynn?
No.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And now bylaw 2648.
Madam Mayor, that was just the first one.
I'm sorry, third reading. Excuse me.
The next motion reads by Councillor Wynn, seconded by Councillor Fair, that bylaws 2642 and 2643 be read a third time and finally passed. Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Kravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
No.
Councillor Wynn?
No.
Mayor Marks?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. Now the last one, and I have one question. I know Councillor Rowe asked if it was being like two zones for the school section, which is I2, correct, on the map? It's just that when I look at I2, it says permitted use institutional and accessory uses to the foregoing. I don't see dual things in the bylaw. I was assuming we were going with just the one. That's under 5, number 5 in the bylaw. Mr. Perrin?
If you refer to Schedule A21, the school block is proposed to be I2/HR1-15.
Okay,
The holding zone for residential. I just want to clarify for council, sorry, that's habit. I want to clarify for council that if council passes this bylaw, it will impose that zoning, dual zoning on the school block. There would be further public meetings to deal with any residential redevelopment of that school block. The zoning would already be in place. However, the plan of subdivision would be required to go through the public process.
right. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I was just looking at the I2 and not realizing that the other was, because it was a bit confusing. Any questions or comments on this one then? So if not, would you read the motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I believe Councillor Wynn indicated she would move both of these,
Oh, yes, yes.
and I would need a seconder.
Sorry, I thought Councillor Fair, yes, said he would second. Yeah.
Yes.
Motion reads, moved by Councillor Wynn, seconded by Councillor Fair, that bylaw 2648 be read a first and a second time.
Call the vote?
Councillor Rowe,
No.
Councillor Cravitz,
Yes.
Councillor Cook,
Yes.
Councillor Fair,
Yes.
Councillor Wynn,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Martin.
No.
Motion carries. Next motion on that bylaw, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Moved by Councillor Wynn, seconded by Councillor Fair. Bylaw 2648 be read a third time and finally passed.
Call the vote?
Councillor Rowe,
No.
Councillor Cravitz,
Yes.
Councillor Cook,
Yes.
Councillor Fair,
Yes.
Councillor Wynn,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks,
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
No.
Resolution carries.
Thank you. Does anyone have any public notice they want to give? Notice of motion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Saturday, the 16th, in Belmont at the Belmont Arena, the Belmont Leos will be selling pumpkins, so you can get ready for Halloween. And the Belmont Lions Club will be hosting a barbecue. If you're hungry and you don't feel like cooking, you can head on out and support the community, so. Starts from 11 to 2.
I was going to say. Okay. I'd already mentioned the thing October the 23rd at 2:00. If you're interested in seeing the dedication of the ghost town signs. Nothing else? No notice of motion? Or any other business? If not, I need a motion to move into closed session. If you have that, please.
Moved by Councillor Fair, seconded by Councillor Rowe, that council proceed into closed session at 8:13 p.m. in order to address a matter pertaining to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and by citizens with privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, the proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, and a position plan criteria or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board.
Thank you. Would you call the vote, please?
Councillor Rowe? Yes. Councillor Cravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin.
First motion, yes,
It just takes a second to get live on you.
okay.
Two-step process.
Go ahead and read the first motion from closed session.
Motion reads, moved by Deputy Mayor Marks, seconded by Councillor Fair, that closed session item number 2, read property matter be received and that staff proceed as directed by council.
Call the vote.
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Cravitz?
Yes.
Counselor Cook,
Yes.
Counselor Fair,
Yes.
Counselor Wynn,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. And
Next motion.
yes,
Moved by Deputy Mayor Marks, seconded by Counselor Rowe, that closed session item number 3, read property matter be received and that staff proceed as directed by council.
call the vote.
Counselor Rowe.
Yes.
Counselor Cravitz.
Yes.
Counselor Cook.
Yes.
Counselor Fair.
Yes.
Counselor Wynn.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries.
and the final one.
Next motion, moved by Counselor Fair, seconded by Counselor Cravitz, that closed session item number 4, read 42343 Fruit Ridge Line be received as information.
Call the vote.
Counselor Rowe.
Yes.
Counselor Cravitz.
Yes.
Counselor Cook.
Almost made it tonight. Almost made it tonight.
Counselor Fair.
Yes.
Counselor Wynn.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
No, he does. This
Sorry.
is the one he declared a conflict on.
Sorry. And Mayor Martin.
Yes, I just thought you don't want to have him recorded as voting. And the final motion.
Bylaw, Madam.
Oh, I'm sorry, the bylaw for confirming. Yes,
Moved by Counselor Rowe, seconded by Counselor Fair, that bylaw 2609 be read a first and second time.
you call the vote.
Counselor Rowe.
Yes.
Counselor Cravitz.
Yes.
Counselor Cook.
Is the volume turned off again?
No, the volume's on.
Yes.
Counselor Fair.
Yes.
Counselor Wynn.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries. Final motion on the bylaw, Madam Mayor, moved by Counselor Cravitz, seconded by Counselor Rowe. Bylaw 649 be read a third time and finally passed.
call the vote.
Counselor Rowe.
Yes.
Counselor Cravitz.
Yes.
Counselor Fair.
Yes.
Counselor Wynn.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And now the final motion.
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Counselor Cravitz, seconded by Counselor Fair, that the regular meeting of council dated Tuesday, October the 12th, 2021 be adjourned at 8:39 PM, and the next regular meeting of council be scheduled for Monday, October the 25th, 2021.
And we can do a show of hands because Councillor Cook has left the meeting. So all those in favor?